Hello, this is Sky. I have not been on here for quite a while, and that is because I have been through a very challenging time in my personal life. We are also going through very turbulent times globally, so we as individuals reflect that, of course, and that's what I want to talk a little bit about. What's happening right now is that the entire energetic structure of the matrix that has been the groundworks for the reality that we live in is coming down. So, what does that mean? First of all, it means that everything around us is extremely unstable. We can see that in all the problems that we have in the world, in the unstable society and the wars and all the natural catastrophes and the breaking down of institutions and industry, etc. And we can also witness that in our own experience, that we feel very shaky inside of ourselves. Also, the pillars of the reality that we live in are wobbly. So, time, for example, speeds up incredibly, and we have the feeling it's a little bit like we're in jello. Everything is shaking, and also that affects our personal moods, because what is happening right now is also that the world is separating in two. So one world continues in the old way, in the so-called three-dimensional reality, in the material, that is where the material is prevalent, and the other world is moving up to a higher frequency level. And just like this is happening globally, it's also happening inside of our own lives. So one day we might feel down and fearful and anxious, and we want to cry, and the other we might feel happy and light and everything's going well. So we're in the one reality with one foot and with the other in the other. So we basically shift back and forth between these two worlds. And of course, in the long run, you want to end up in the higher frequency. So what's happening right now is that we all face a lot of challenges, or most of us are facing a lot of challenges, and that is because of two reasons. First of all, there is all this purging going on, because where we're moving into this higher frequency, all the dense material inside of ourselves that has built up through traumas or bad experiences that we've had, personality structures that are heavy, they cannot stay in this higher frequency, so they need to come up to the surface to disappear. And that is this purging process. Now, this also is training our frequency, because where we are moving in a higher frequency, where we are vibrating much faster, our thoughts and feelings become manifest much quicker than here, where everything is slowed down. So our frequency needs to be stable. And when we overcome a challenge, we stabilize our frequency, because when we focus on the positive outcome, if we don't go into despair and hopelessness, then we choose the other direction, which is we overcome and we focus on the positive in our experiences. So this is what's happening right now to us. Now, our thoughts and feelings create the reality that we live in, and that is something that we do not know anymore, and that is something that we go back to now. And where we are going, this happens spot on. So we now are invited to practice manifestation, which means focus on what you would like to see in your life and what you would like to see in the world, rather than have the world drag you into these old structures that you think that you're a victim of. We need to step out of the victim role right now and realize that the reality that is around us is the one that we have created. And that is not only a reality that we created globally, but also our own reality. And our own reality affects the reality that is global. So what is our point of power is our own reality. So when we focus on the positive in our own reality, and we do not get sucked into these fear traps that are laid out everywhere, that means that we are moving ahead in our frequency training to move up to the next level. The fear traps are the instrument of the powers that have governed the world for so long, and they are trying everything to have us step into them and create all these fear scenarios so that we can continue creating the old world and feel trapped by it, where basically we're just trapped in our own creation, but we don't know that on this dense level of frequency. So do not fall into these fear traps that are created by war mongering and financial collapse, natural catastrophes, all these kind of things that are really partly completely blown out of proportion in the mainstream media, so that we are continuously in a feeling of being powerless, and we are anxious and fearful. So we are not powerless at all, but that is what we are being suggested that we are all the time. So that is a very important thing, that we realize not to fall into that trap. What's much better is to start thinking about the way we would like to live in this world and what we would like to have in our own life, and just dream a little bit. Think of something beautiful. And then, of course, we are in a pool of all these emotions that wash over us. And when we experience these emotions, it's good to just take a step back and look at everything from a distance and just breathe. So go into peace. Because peace and stillness is behind all these emotions. We are on a theater stage of life where we have all these different experiences, and it's like we have the whole color palette of emotions and experiences in our lives. And it's also beautiful that it's not just one color or two or three, but it's all these different colors, and it's good to experience all of them. So if you look at it from that level or from that viewpoint, then you stop judging your feelings and emotions and think they shouldn't be there. If you are with a feeling, of sorrow or depression, just look at it, or of turmoil or anxiety, just take a look at it, just see it. It's one color of life. And if you step back, you get into the stillness that is behind everything that we experience. We all play a role here. It's like a game. It's like a theater stage where we all take a particular role, and we play out our role, the others play out their role. And if we just step back and look at everything from a distance, then we are able to just breathe and just be with whatever there is. and we can just unpack every single moment like a diamond, because every single moment is unique, it's shiny, it's so full of potential. And if we unpack it like a diamond, it can just shine. um, and we can just, you know, be in the experience of it. Nothing more, nothing less. What's happening right now is that we don't seem to function the way that we used to. Our life had a particular structure, we had particular things that we were doing, and maybe we don't enjoy these things so much anymore. And we're confused because also we might feel extremely demotivated, and we do not have the inspiration for a lot of things that make us feel that we are functioning well in this world, we are productive elements of the society. And that is because, we, just like in the movie The Matrix, we are being untethered from all these connections that we have with the energetic structure that is the matrix that is currently coming down. So, just like in that movie where Neo is detached from all these tubes that he has connected to his body, that's what's happening to us now. We're disconnected from this energetic structure of the matrix that we've been living in, and that leaves us up in the air with nothing to hold on to, because all of a sudden, you know, the motivational pull that was based on the matrix that we live in, based on things that society tells us that we should be or do, is not there anymore. And this, you know, society told us that we have to have a life like this, like we have to go to school, get a job, marry, have a house, have a car, have kids, and then eventually die. And there are some things that we need to be. We need to make lots of money, we need to be successful, we need to be productive all the time, we need to have lots to do all the time, you know. So all these things are the illusion that we have been enslaved in, and we are being untethered from this energetic structure of this matrix. So the motivation that we had to do a lot of the things that we were doing is actually coming from a very not benevolent agenda for humanity. So that makes us feel confused because we think we're unproductive, we're not functioning, we don't want to do anything. Maybe, you know, we just want to sit around. And it's very important to be kind to ourselves and just stay with ourselves, just like we're taking ourselves by the hand. Take a lot of care of our bodies, our physical needs, like lots of rest, healthy food, fresh air, sunlight, if it's possible. Go into nature, it's always so soothing and calming. And, you know, accept the fact that you are not continuously this productive member of society that you have been indoctrinated to be, because that is not who we are. We have so much to give to the world, and what we have to give to the world can only be uncovered if we are completely authentic. So it's very important for us now to just be totally authentic. That's the biggest gift that we can give to the world around us, is to just be authentically ourselves with whoever or whatever we are. Maybe that is something that we need to find back to, because we have been so far away from it. Manipulation in the world that we're moving into cannot stay anymore. So any kind of manipulation or mask that we have been putting on to show the world to the outside, they're just gonna eventually come apart. They're gonna become see-through. It's not possible to keep them up any longer. And so there's also a lot of lies coming up right now coming to light in the world. A lot of truths are being revealed because the frequency that we are already in is so high that lies cannot sustain. And that's why we see a lot of them around us, but also lies in our own lives cannot sustain. We cannot lie to others anymore. It's not going to work. um, so the only thing that's left for us is to really be authentically ourselves, and that's also very beautiful, because when we are authentically ourselves, we also become vulnerable, and everybody's vulnerable, but everybody thinks that everybody else is not. It's not, it's just me, and the others are hurting me. So yeah, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't draw our borders, but stop pretending to the outside world. And you can maybe already see around that this is not really working anymore. Now, when you go out in the outside world, you feel there's a lot of aggression. And it's good to connect with the divine source as much as possible to get like an energetic, what's it called? Suit that can protect us. And in everything that we do, it's of supreme importance to realize that we are all part of this divine source, like a branch on a tree. And if the branch on the tree disconnects from the tree and the roots of the tree, it's gonna, the leaves are going to crumble and get dry. So we are a part of it, and it's very important that we are aware that we are, and that we also get the help and all the sustenance and all the substance and the nutrition that we get from the roots of this tree, and consciously connect ourselves with this source. So when we go outside into the world, it's good to just connect to the divine source before we go out, and maybe do a prayer, ask for protection and for guidance, to not fall prey to all the mayhem that's out there. And anything that we do in our lives that is not connected with this divine source is not going anywhere. It's gonna end in a one-way road, dead-end road. So that is our essence. The divine source is our essence. It's who we are. We are all part of it. And when we go outside and we consciously connect ourselves with this divine source, we are much more able to meet people with kindness and with a smile, even if they are angry or completely out of hand, or aggressive or whatever, and not to react in the same way that they treat us. And that spreads a frequency field around us that is contagious. It multiplies. It moves far beyond our own realm of agency, and inspires others. If we smile at someone, that from your own experiences, when somebody smiles at you, it feels like, oh, okay, work can't be so bad. And if somebody shows you understanding when you are completely freaked out about something and you're screaming and stuff, then it already feels better and you can calm down much more. So whenever we go out in the world, it's good to go with kindness and understanding rather than with a defense. Every emotion and every thought is shaping the reality that we live in. And so the best thing that we can do now really is to sort out and watch our emotions and our thoughts, to have them as high vibe as possible, because now right now, with the world being so jello, everything is has a much more formative power than in times where the reality is solid. So every thought, every feeling that we have helps shape what is coming into existence now. So try and keep in a place where you can be calm, where you can have positive emotions, no matter what about, it can be about very simple things, just about a nice cup of coffee or, you know, some sunshine, a voice of a loved one. And this way you contribute in forming this beautiful new world that we live in. Now, this separation of worlds and the sort of cracking up of the old shell can be felt by everyone. And people who are sensitive feel it much, much more than people who are not so sensitive, and people who have shut down their channels so far that they are pretty much numbed to what's happening. And if that's the case, then this is just like a knocking on the door, like somebody knocks on the door, but maybe you can just decide to turn up the volume of the radio or the TV so that you don't hear anything. And that's your choice, of course. But those who feel this, they can be very affected by it also physically. It's physically extremely exhausting because our bodies change. And it's good to be just aware of the fact that this is happening and not demand our bodies much beyond what is actually appropriate right now, because our bodies need to adjust to this. It's like you go into a bigger height, like if you go up to Peru, for example, which is 3,000, Cusco is 3,000 meters above sea level, and you get all these symptoms there, from the height, nausea, headaches, because the oxygen is much thinner and moving your body becomes much more exhausting than it is in when you're not so high. So this is happening to our bodies right now, also with the frequency that is so high. So our whole systems need to adapt to this higher frequency. This is some of the things that we need to take into consideration, and just give ourselves a break. These times are really not easy. They're not easy psychologically, they're not easy physically, and they're not easy globally. So just take a breath, sit down, and just be still. It's so important to be still now. If you can take some time in nature, that is really the best thing. And if you don't feel like doing the things that we used to be doing so much anymore at all, that's totally fine, because this world is over. And the world, that's the world that your activities were rooted in, and it's not there anymore. So now, if you don't feel like doing the same thing anymore, it's fine. You will find new things to do. But don't be upset that everything's not the way that you know it anymore and want to go back to it, because there's no going back. Yeah, and don't fall into the fear trap. The powers that have been governing this world are trying everything to keep humanity in the creation of the old world that they think that they're a victim of. Well, they're not actually a victim, but it's the world that they created, because they maneuver our thoughts and feelings in ways that create these kind of war situations, and the killing and destruction that we see everywhere around us. So where we are headed is a much higher frequency, and the things that affect us on the much denser frequency, which is the so-called three-dimensional world that we live in, are not able to affect us anymore when we are in a higher frequency. Um, and we think, oh, but you know, um, if there's a war or the environmental destruction and all these kinds of things, it's us who create this, first of all, and second of all, when we move up to a higher level, this is does not create an obstacle anymore. It does not affect us, because that's not the level that we are at anymore. Um, yeah, so I think that's it, I hope, for now. So let's try and have as much fun as we can. And if we don't have fun, it's fine, you know. Just give yourself a break and be with the emotions that we have, whatever they are, and enjoy them, or just let them be and step back into the space where there is stillness and calm. Wishing you a beautiful day, and I would love your comments below. Bye.